living a full and well life is put together, grow, authentic.
We feel it.
Take care of ourselves.
Hello, and welcome back to the Wishing You Well podcast, where we help you navigate your wellness journey each and every week. I'm Amy Albero.
And I'm Catherine Van Eyck. We are both licensed therapists and talking about love today on this Valentine's Day that we are recording. Although you won't hear it on Valentine's Day, so sorry. So we are going to talk about love. We're going to talk about practicing love and how it is connected to wellness. We're going to talk about our own relationships with our husbands and ways we see love in our work.
Yeah, I know. I think I've caught a case of the Catherines where I'm excited to get into this mushy, gushy stuff and talking about love. So I'm excited. Yeah, maybe I'm feeling inspired by talking about this on Valentine's Day, but I'm looking forward to getting into it, especially in this love month of February.
It's a whole love month. Like people have birthday months.
Cupid's bow has struck me. What can I say? Should we begin, as we always do, with our self-care check-in for the week?
We should.
Okay, so you start. How has your self-care been? What's it looking like?
Okay, so I was just telling you before we started recording. I was just asking you how I sounded because I have a little bit of a cold, nothing crazy, but I also have not been sick since December of 2022.
Wow.
Yeah. So right before I was pregnant, wasn't sick the entire time being pregnant, and then since having a baby, I've not been sick. So even this minor cold, I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. Like, get this away from me. And not to mention that I had just been talking about, I think last week or 2 weeks ago, about all the supplements that I'm taking. So how those must be the culprit for keeping me nice and healthy.
Mm-hmm.
However, I am not.
They're
But
failing.
I'm failing. At the same time, I think they're doing their thing because, okay, they're not going to just shield me from every illness that's out there. But maybe instead of a 10-day or week to 10-day typical cold, this is like a 3-day thing. Because I kid you not, I felt a little meh 2 days ago. Yesterday, I felt like I could have slept all day. I felt awful. And today, I feel like better than Monday. So I'm already over the hump.
That's great.
Yeah. And I will attribute that to circling back here to the self-care piece of, yes, what I talked about a couple of weeks ago with the supplements, but also I got a ton of rest yesterday. And I also drank a ton of water yesterday and continuing to drink a ton of water today. So that is my self-care, resting and water. And it's working and it's great.
I love that you brought that up because I was going to ask, okay, the supplements are helpful, but you must also be doing something. You're not throwing your hands up and letting the supplements just take the wheel. You
Letting
are
the supplement gods do their thing.
So and it's so simple, right? Rest and hydration, the two simplest forms of self-care, and they freaking work. But that's good. I'm glad you're feeling better. How has this impacted, I mean, you're obviously you don't stop being a mom when you're sick. And so what has that been like to be having to take extra care and time for yourself while still momming?
So I would definitely say the support is much needed and also came at a perfect time because yesterday was like a snow day.
Mhm.
So my husband was home most of the day. So I got to rest because he did baby things and I didn't actually sleep like I wanted to, but I rested. Because my landlord's snowblower was the loudest thing ever. And I was like, oh my God, I just want to sleep. Can you at least turn that off? But yes, so the support part, having him home, that really helped. And then I also texted my mom and I was like, how do you mom and be sick?
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. And that so far your baby is feeling good and hopefully your husband too. So let's keep the water, rest, game going strong.
Good. I will. So your self-care, how are you?
I'm good. I just had like a so I don't know if in like traditional weddings they have this thing, but Italian weddings we have what's called a Venetian hour, which is essentially like all desserts, like incredible amount of desserts, and that's what my self-care was this week. It wasn't even like a treat; it was like treats on treats on treats on treats. So
Ooh.
I flew back from Miami on Saturday specifically, well, not totally, but mostly to get my hair done. So I had a hair appointment. And then I had like an impromptu drinks get together with two of my girlfriends who I haven't seen maybe since like October or November, which was really fun. And then my husband and I had a date night, which was nice. And that was like all Saturday. And then Sunday, I went to a workout class and I had a massage and then I like napped. It was like that's see, that's what I'm saying. It was just like a self-care pileup, which was of treats, like not even like what you were talking about, like this like basic micro, like bite-sized self-care. Like these were some serious like cream puff style
Keep the
decadent.
metaphors coming.
I'm hungry. Um, self-care treats.
Wow.
Mm.
I'm so happy for you. That sounds so great.
Yeah, well, so it was a lot. Like I was almost like feeling stressed about how much there was, but and I think my new self-care nemesis, I almost texted you on Sunday. It has shifted from manicures to massages. Like I think that it, it's just chameleon to something else. Um, but
Wait,
it
wait, wait. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I think it's like for the same reason that manicure stressed me out. It's like, oh, like I just have to like lay here and like not do anything for an hour. And it's like not comfortable. But it felt like a little bit more of a necessity than like a treat. Like my body's just like, so tight and all of that stuff. So it felt like rehabilitative rather than like relaxing, if you know what I mean. But just like, yeah, being kind of like stuck there wasn't very relaxing. So
Yeah. Okay.
um
Well, maybe you'll learn to like those too.
yeah, who knows? And then we'll see what my next nemesis becomes. But this will definitely become a theme in our episode today because I'm recognizing that my limited time that I have at home and with my loved ones at home is increasing my priority level in terms of like what I spend my time doing and who I spend my time with. And so like that's been something I've been thinking a lot about. And so when I am at home, which at this point is very rare, how to maximize my time at home to like fuel and feed my relationships and like feel like really restored by them as well. So that's I think what was also really nice about this weekend is I got a little bit of everything poured into my cup.
Remind me to circle back to that with you and and ask you about if you are trying to squeeze in like all the love in that time or you're able to like somehow practice the love while
Mhm.
you're down in Miami.
Yeah, no, I will definitely be talking about that, especially as we get into talking about our relationships and things like that. The other thing that I just want to note about my self-care, which has been a very eye-opening thing, is that I often hear as a therapist and say to myself, like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I can't do X, Y, or Z. I recently joined Orange Theory. I'm obsessed. I am so obsessed. I love it. Sponsor us, Orange Theory. I'm obsessed. I'll be your ambassador. Anyway, I and so I really like it. It's doing really good things for me, like mentally more than anything. And don't you know, I'm able to rearrange my workday, my weekends, my whatever, all my time so that I can go to a handful of Orange Theory classes every week at times that like any other thing might be too quote unquote inconvenient. And so I'm just noting that we do make time for what we value and so that's just been a really good eye opener to me.
Good point. Because like any other time you would have maybe settled on the idea of nope, can't do it. Those times don't work for me. Those times don't work for my schedule.
Mhm.
Sucks, would have been cool. But now you're seeing how you can do it
Mhm.
and you're getting yourself to figure it out. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. So yes, like clearly I have a theme in terms of what I'm going to be talking about today. So I'll definitely share more of that as we get deeper into our episode. But should we just jump right in and start talking about love?
Jump into the pool of love. I don't know why. Why does love like why do topics of love make my voice do that?
I just did the same thing. So
Why?
I don't know.
What is that? Is that like a is that something that's like ingrained in us from when we've seen like animated movies as children where it's like welcome to the tunnel of love and it's like that like
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's because like no pun intended here, but like love does get so romanticized. And so I think that like we put that, and I'm like, if you're watching us on YouTube, like I'm like doing a little like dancey thing. Like we do put some like extra flavor into love. I think because of the idea, the concept of it.
Mhm.
And I think how it's portrayed to us is this like beautiful, romantic idea, which it can be, but like there's more to it or there's different stuff to it than that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, the at least the consistent and maybe we'll okay, not maybe. And we'll definitely get into this later. Unfortunately, that romantic aspect really evolves over time. So like when we think of the romantic parts of love, it really is like those beginning stages of love and like the I'm going to say what you hate, the falling in love part of love.
Cringe.
And it's all those honeymoon stage things that we kind of equate with love. Whereas, no, it's like this bigger, much more longitudinal thing that really changes over time.
Hmm. Well, let me ask you, like, what while we're here today talking about love, like, are you thinking of it as romantic love? Are you thinking about it as platonic love, familial love? Like, how are you conceptualizing it?
How did I plan for this episode?
Yes. Like, yeah, what came to mind?
Well, it's funny because I was thinking about kind of like what we first wanted to start talking about, which is practicing love and its connection to wellness. Um, I made a note that I wanted to mention familial and friend love, but like that I was mainly going to be focusing on the intimate, romantic kind of love.
Mhm.
What about you?
Yeah, no, that's exactly no, but it illustrates my
Did I
point
come to
in a
with the
way.
right assignment?
You understood the assignment. No, but me too. Like my immediate thought when it came to talking about love was more romantic love, and also then thinking about familial love and like platonic friendship love as sort of secondary. And I think that's really notable. And I guess as we're going to shift into talking about practicing love, how we can make room for all of that. This idea like that we're talking about, right? Like that our first instinct is romantic love, and then that we have familial love, platonic love, friendship love also there, but maybe not as primary, I think is really important for us to note because, as my husband would say, spoiler, that's going to be a big part for me about the way that I think about also my view of love and practicing love. Because the reality is, as you know from your own personal experience and your experience in work, we can't get everything from one relationship. We can't get all of our love and all of our needs met from one relationship. And it's so important to prioritize these other sources of love to give and receive in order for us to be fully well.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That makes me think a lot about one of Esther Perel's books, where she talks about how pretty much exactly what you said. And a lot of what we talked about with Carly King on one of the episodes she came on, that we as society tend to think that we can get everything from our romantic relationships. We can get the fun and um, the deep conversations and the physical intimacy and all of these things from one person, when in reality, that's not how we historically experienced love. And so it's kind of unrealistic to think that we can get that from one person now today in this
Mhm.
world that we're living in. Um, and so when I read that, I know that really resonated with me. It really, but at the same time, it really shocked me because I think I fall into that same category of thinking that we can. And I definitely still do in a way, which sounds hypocritical. Like, I guess I'm working on it.
Yeah, I think I also like while having like that knowledge, that insight, which is so helpful, yeah, still have the hope or the expectation that like my husband is going to be the end all be all when it comes to this stuff. And I think where like having the knowledge is helpful because it can prevent disappointment, it could prevent heartbreak. And I don't mean like breaking up, but just like, yeah, the disappointment that comes from like someone you really care about and love, like not being able to like meet your every want and need. And so it is helpful to keep in mind. I guess I'm still working on it. I just want to take a quick pause to tell you that Revive is hiring. In our Miami and Pittsburgh offices, we have full and part-time W-2 and 1099 clinician positions available, and this includes both postgraduate and associate level licenses, in addition to fully licensed clinicians. In our Connecticut offices, we have full-time, fully licensed W-2 clinician positions available, including clinical supervisor opportunities. If you are interested in working for a company that values community, work-life balance, and your personal and professional growth, then we want to meet you. Find a link to our website in our bio.
So let's kind of get back to what we wanted to start with as far as this is a wellness podcast. Why are we talking about love? How are the two connected?
I feel like they overlap almost entirely because I guess when I think about, well, first, when I think about love and wellness, I guess in that aspect, I think about love and wellness as love of oneself and how you keep yourself well or take care of yourself in order to be well. So like my immediate association with wellness is like to live a well life means to like act lovingly toward yourself. So I think in that sense, that's how I pair the two. But I think when it comes to love and relationships and how those fit into wellness and well-being, I think it's almost just what we were just saying. It's also acknowledging that we can't do it all, and nor should we, and to allow ourselves the freedom, the vulnerability, the grace to allow support and love and care from someone else helps us stay well and just contributes to our well-being. So that's my like initial thought about where it all fits in.
I love that you just brought out the self part. I wasn't even thinking about that. But big one.
I know we didn't mention that
No.
before. Damn it.
Missed opportunity. No, it's great. It's great that you mentioned that. I mean, when you and I have planned a lot of podcast episodes before, a lot of just general content for like different resources coming from Revive, and we've referenced this sort of like wheel of wellness that we came up with. One of those things is love, and loving yourself, self-love, like it's huge. And another kind of coming off of that is relationships, and love and relationships or those just go hand in hand together. And so that's what I was thinking of in terms of love and wellness and well-being, that if our relationships are off, then we're off. And that can be very surface level, but most of the time it goes much deeper than that. It can affect your physical health if some of your relationships are off. And those might be the familial ones, if there's strife, if there's cutoff, if there's just constant fighting going on. Or that could be your romantic, your marriage, your long-term dating relationship with somebody. That could be a friendship that is kind of falling off, but once was really, really strong. That could be a number of relationships in your life. If any of these things are off, you're going to feel off. And when you feel off, your wellness is off. So it's kind of like just this domino effect. So I really thought of it in terms of how deep it can cut, literally. Your cortisol levels can go up. And when your cortisol levels are going to go up, your blood sugar levels are going to go up. And when your blood levels are going to go up, all of a sudden you're like pre-diabetic. And There you go. There's your
Mhm.
physical health. There's your
Mhm.
obvious signs of wellness being off.
I love that you're talking about the relationship between the quality of our relationships and how that relates to our well-being, and they do mirror one another. And it's and you're also making me think about our podcast episode from a few episodes ago when we talked about wellness trends, and Blue Zones was part of that, and connection was a huge part of the Blue Zones. That's what helps people, or is correlational to people living these very long lives. And so, yes, it must have such a positive impact on our overall well-being to be in relationship with people.
Literally judges whether or not we're going to live to our 100,
Mhm. Yeah.
give or take.
Yeah. Yes. And so, like, what do you use this word very specifically, I'm imagining, which was practicing love. And so what does that mean to you? Like, how do you think about that as it relates to like love and relationships?
Hello, wishing you well, listeners. Catherine here, taking a moment for all the new mommies out there. Okay, so not all of you are new moms, but some of you are, and from one first-time mom to another, this new life we're living is full of joy, yes, but also it's extremely overwhelming at times. I know what's made a huge difference for me is finding support in others going through the same stage of life. That's why we created a postpartum group so you can experience just that. We'll talk about all the change that's happened, gained valuable resources, all while connecting with other mamas. Amy and I talk about self-care all the time, as you know. And if you're a new mom, you know how much of a challenge that can be. So let this group be your gateway to focusing on your needs by creating weekly check-ins. This 6-week group is super accessible because it's not only over Zoom, but also at a time when baby is probably down for the night. But if not, because life is unpredictable with your little one, it's totally okay to bring baby if you need to. So if you've had a baby within the last year and you want to tend to your emotional needs with other new mamas, then sign up for Beyond the Birth at the link in our show notes.
Just that and you say this all the time, love is a verb, love is an action. So it's something that you have to be actively pursuing, something you have to actually put intention into in order for it to thrive, flourish, survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, and yes, of course, if you've been listening to this podcast, or if you watch our other podcast, Reactivity TV, that's definitely something that like I feel a lot as it relates to love, that it is an action, it is a verb, and the way that we express it is like, yeah, through doing. Yes, it's a feeling, but the way that it gets like perpetuated is through action. And I think that's where, like, in relationships there's often a big miss, is that like there's so much emphasis on like getting it, like getting the love, or like obtaining. It's like this tangible thing that you like achieve, and then once you get it, it's like, okay, whew, I've got it. And then it kind of just can fall to the wayside if you're not, watering it like a plant, like watering your relationship, or attending to like the love of in your relationship, that it really can die. And I think that is such a, like, love is this thing that so many people strive for, and yet it feels so easily squandered or neglected. And so I love just the thought that it is a practice and something that you need to continue to come back to regularly in order for you to sustain it.
So one thing this has me thinking about is how many times couples will come into therapy and they've kind of come to that point. They've come to that point of like, well, things used to be easy. Things used to be just like kind of come naturally to us. And now they don't. So what does that mean about us? What does that mean about our relationship? Does it mean it's doomed? Does it mean that we need to break up? Does it mean that, this is over? And more often than not, that's not the case. It's just that the act hasn't been happening, that the actual practicing has been neglected. And so does practicing automatically mean that, all this love is just going to like root back in and grow into this beautiful flowering plant? No. Sometimes that it does mean that it's gone too long, or other factors are at play that are keeping this love from growing. But a lot of times it can work. A lot of times these practices, as long as as long as they are constant and they're both committed to doing those practices, then they're the ones that come into therapy and aren't the ones that are like, oh no, you only go to couples therapy to die.
Uh-huh. So true. Well, and I think there is such a big fear there around like not like even taking couples therapy out of it, but like, oh gosh, what does it mean about my relationship if things are hard or if things like weren't what they used to be? Like it is so anxiety provoking. I think we forget how we got here, like how we were able to build a relationship over time. And there's so much like out there around like continuing to date your spouse. And that's like a cliche